Experience a progressive lens engineered with AI from Essilor, powered by individual measurements of your visual behavior. A lens personalized to you by an Essilor expert. Discover Verilux XR Track and enjoy instantly sharp vision in motion and seamless transitions from near to far. Find your local Essilor expert today at Essilor.com.
Curious about how you can achieve smooth, natural-looking, long-lasting filler results? The Juvederm collection of fillers has 6 unique gel fillers that add subtle volume and are designed for different needs in specific areas of the face, like lips, cheeks, chin, smile lines, under eyes, and jawline. Ask your licensed specialist for a full face assessment today and download the ALLE app, that's ALLE, the official loyalty program of Juvederm, to save on treatments and get a look that's true to you. For important safety information and to find a licensed specialist, visit Juvederm.com. That's JUVEDERM.com. Not for people with severe allergic reactions, allergies to lidocaine, or the proteins used in Juvederm. Common side effects include injection site redness, swelling, pain, tenderness, firmness, lumps, bumps, bruising, discoloration, or itching. There's a risk of unintentional injection into a blood vessel, which can cause vision abnormalities, blindness, stroke, temporary scabs, or scarring. Talk to a licensed specialist to find out if it's right for you.
'80s action movie icon Arnold Schwarzenegger had already faced off against deadly alien hunters and Predator, but that same year he took on another action-packed sci-fi film, trading aliens for a dystopian future and a deadly reality show. This '80s flick was a wild departure from the original short story it was based on, but it delivered plenty of action and comedic moments. In this adaptation, convicted criminals known as runners must survive against professional killers in a twisted televised reality show with a charismatic host who has sinister secrets. So don your favorite golden jumpsuit, brush up on your one-liners, and don't touch that dial as Nicholas Pepin, Laramy Wells, and I discuss The Running Man from 1987 on this episode of the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is forced into a deadly game on the highest-rated TV show of the future. No one has ever survived. But he has yet to play. Arnold Schwarzenegger is The Running Man. I'll be back. Rated R.
I'm Tim Williams, the mastermind behind the mic at the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. Joining me on each epic episode is a guest co-host who's as crazy about 80s flicks as they are about wearing parachute pants and solving Rubik's Cubes. We're diving into nostalgic treasures we saw at the local theater, rented on VHS tapes, or discovered on cable TV. From blockbusters that make you say,
I feel the need for speed,
to hidden gems that'll have you screaming,
They're here.
It's a blast to relive these old memories and share our thoughts on what made these movies so special. We reminisce about our first time watch experiences, share our favorite scenes, and even discover fascinating behind the scenes tales about the cast and crew along the way. Haven't hit that subscribe button yet? What are you waiting for?
Come on, do it.
On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. And hey, while you're at it, be a pal and drop us a written review along with a 5-star rating to tell us what you think about us.
The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Take a day off and come hang out with us on social media. Just search 80s Flick Flashback on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget to bookmark 80sflickflashback.com for more gnarly content.
Get out of town. I didn't know you did anything creative.
Want to crank it all the way up to 11? Become a supporter on buymeacoffee.com for only $5 a month.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Click the link in our episode show notes, and while you're there, soak up the extra trivia and fun stuff that didn't make it into today's show. Thanks again for tuning in. Now, let's get right into today's episode.
Welcome to the party.
Welcome in, everybody. So good to have you back as we continue with our action-packed August. What fun we have been having watching these action-packed movies. Are they the best action movies of the 80s? No, they're not, but they're still fun to talk about. And on this episode, we're talking about The Running Man, which is probably my second favorite 80s Schwarzenegger movie, and we'll get into that as we go. But welcome back to the show. Always glad to have them both. Nicholas Pepin from Pop Culture Roulette. How you doing, Nicholas?
All right. How about you?
I'm doing good. And from Moving Panels, Mr. Laramy Wells. How you doing, Laramy?
I'll be back because you got to say it in every movie.
Right. Only in reruns. Well, this was a fun one we were kind of excited about. And of course, because this is based on Richard King.
Well, might as well.
Yeah, Richard Bachman, aka Stephen King. Laramy is back to tell us about the book because he's the one that actually had a chance to read it, and we'll get into that as we go. So, all right, you know how we start this show. Nicholas, when did you see The Running Man for the very first time?
This, to the best of my recollection, the best of my knowledge, is the first rated R movie I've ever seen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because my dad had no problem showing me movies like this. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. Right. I do know, I'm pretty sure he got in trouble for this one. But this, I mean, I'm very rarely ever aware of the ratings of movies. But there's a distinct memory in my head that this is the first rated R movie I ever saw. So I know it was on VHS. He rented it and let me watch it with him.
Yeah. That brings up a good question, because I'm like, what was the first R-rated movie that I saw? And like you, I'm sure I saw it on VHS. It was either Witness or Terminator. And I want to say it was Terminator, which is a lot more graphic than this movie is. Laramy, what was your first R-rated movie? Since we're on that
Honestly,
question first.
So not counting obviously TV edit, because I probably saw it, but actually unedited. I think maybe it was Return of the Living Dead rated R.
Yes,
pretty sure. Yeah.
So it was probably that. Yeah, it was probably, if it wasn't that, it was Total Recall.
Okay.
So possibly an Arnold movie for all three of us, just a different Arnold movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's funny. Very cool.
Because I do remember watching Total Recall with my dad, and when they got to the lady with the three, I remember him covering my eyes. So that could have been it. But I also remember watching Return of the Living Dead when I was over at a friend's house for a sleepover. Yeah. So it's one or the other.
Yeah, I just remember I had to leave the room, like whenever when they got to the love scene, quote unquote, in Terminator. My sister and I had to leave the room, and they would tell us when we could come back. So good old days. All right. So Laramy, when did you watch this on TV?
I'm about to say, I saw it on television. I don't remember when. I do remember though it was on television, and it was on just a basic network. Because I remember it going to commercial, because it was back in the probably late 80s, early 90s when they would do the Running Man will continue, and had the clip from the movie they would show real quick.
Yeah.
So I do remember seeing it on television, but I couldn't tell you exactly when.
Cool. So how long has it been? I'll start with you, Laramy. How long has it been since you rewatched it before rewatching it for the podcast? Has it been a while or?
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. As with most kind of R-rated movies, it's probably been 10, 11 years before Ruby was born. It's because really hard to watch those now. So yeah, I would probably say it's probably been a good decade.
Okay. What about you, Nicholas?
This is one that if I come across it like on TV or every so often, it's probably been a couple years, but it's one that every few years I'll pop it on and watch it. Like it's enjoyable. I mean, it's not. Well, I mean, it's fun.
It's fun.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not the best Schwarzenegger movie, and it's not the best action movie, but it's a fun, entertaining movie. And I'll honestly say, I probably enjoy Richard Dawson in it more than I enjoy Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, but just because he's so fun as the the game show host. But that's just a lot of nostalgia from.
I mean, he's just playing himself from Family Feud.
Yeah, how many times I watched Family Feud? Yeah. So, I don't know if I answered my own question. So, I'm pretty sure I didn't see this one in the theater. I'm pretty sure of that. This is one that I definitely rented and saw on VHS, and then when it came on cable, it was one that I watched over and over and over again. I know I had a VHS copy of it. I probably found it in a Blockbuster and like the previously viewed bin, re-shrink wrapped or whatever.
One of the best parts of Blockbuster.
Exactly. So, and being so excited to find it, I was like, oh, The Running Man. Like, I love this movie. And I had that copy for a long time. So, but yeah, it's one that I enjoy. And this is one that, I probably watch every couple of years. I've seen it so many times. Like we were talking about before we started recording about, how many times did we watch it before recording? And we all were like, we didn't need to see it a second time because we've all seen it so many times.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just one of those movies that's ingrained in my childhood. I've seen it so many times. But all right, story, origin, and pre-production. We ready?
Let's do it.
This is a fun one. George Linder, who in the early 1980s was the proud owner of the country's largest supplier of lightweight wheelchairs, first came across The Running Man novel in an airport bookstore in 1982. He'd never heard of the author, Richard Bachman, nor did he have any reason to question his identity. He simply thought he'd found a good book with an enticing tagline, "Welcome to America in 2025, when the best men don't run for president, they run for their lives." Linder
2025.
Yeah, 2025, yeah.
They didn't even set the movie in 2025. Okay.
Linder couldn't stop imagining the tagline being read by Don in a world LaFontaine over a movie trailer to the point he decided he needed to make the movie himself. As he told Cinefantastique, "I contacted the author's agent and was a bit taken aback to learn that he was asking for a comparatively great deal of money for the option of a book which had less than 100,000 copies in print. I mean, who had ever heard of Richard Bachman? Bachman was simply a random author who seemed to jump from one theme and genre to another. If the publisher overvalued his work, that was their problem. But Linder couldn't walk away. Running Man had a hold of him. So he agreed to the publisher's $20,000 upfront payment with a built-in bigger bump down the road should the film actually get made. So next he surveyed Hollywood's landscape to find the right partners. His search led him to Rob Cohen and Keith Barish, who were then in the process of setting up a slate of 10 big-budget genre pictures through their new company, Taft Barish. Cohen had a decade of experience as a studio executive at Fox TV and Motown Production, as well as several years as a producer and TV director. Barish had just earned his first producing credits, most notably for 1981's Endless Love and 1982's Sophie's Choice. Two totally different movies than The Running Man, but okay. When Linder took a look at him, Running Man screenwriter Stephen DeSouza recalls, Cohen said, "Boy, you made a lousy deal. Why is the second payment on the option so high?" That's when they both realized the author was actually Stephen King. So he bought the rights to the book, not even knowing it was Stephen King who had written the novel.
Stephen King denied it for so many years.
Yeah. I think I read something that was a DC publisher that actually outed him as being Richard Bachman, I think.
I know there was an interview where he was asked if he was Richard Bachman, and he denies it. But then it's really weird at the very end of his statement. He says, and again, he's saying this, but when you see it in print, it kind of makes it funny. He says, "I'm not Richard Bachman."
So you wonder if it's a misprint or if that's what he actually said.
Or if he did it intentionally.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, because he talks about like, I know Richard Bachman, and he talks about like, I went to school with, I think he calls him Dickie at one point. I went to school with Dickie. And he's all this stuff. But yeah, completely denied it for years.
Well, given Stephen King's coke habit back then, he maybe thought it was a different guy.
Very true. Cohen agreed, admitting he'd eventually bought Linder's pitch with the understanding they could use King's name on the advertising. But few Stephen King movies scrape by without some friction between the author and his adapters. And once he saw what they had done to his story, he forbid them from using his name. King said, quote, "It was totally out of my hands. I didn't have anything to do with the making of the movie. It doesn't have much in common with the novel at all, except the title." Yeah, we're going to get into that. Yeah, we're going to get into that. So prior to Paul Michael Glazer being hired as director, executive producer Rob Cohen had hired 4 other directors in his attempts to make the movie. The first was George P. Cosmatos, who had impressed Cohen with his work on Rambo First Blood Part 2. But Cosmatos announced that he wanted to relocate the entire film to a shopping mall. Cohen let him go, feeling he was taking the script in an unacceptable direction. He next offered the project to German director Karl Schnickel, having been impressed with Obwarts, never heard of, but he turned him down as he didn't feel comfortable taking on such a large project. Next, Cohen hired Ferdinand Fairfax based on his work on Nate and Hayes. Like Cosmatos, however, Fairfax began to take the screenplay in a direction which Cohen disliked, so once again, he let him go. Cohen then turned to Andrew Davis, having enjoyed his movie Code of Silence with Chuck Norris. Davis actually got the project off the ground and into production, but only 8 days into the shoot, he was already $8 million over budget and 4 days behind schedule.
Gee.
As such, Cohen was let go and ultimately hired Glazer, whom he had worked with on the first season of Miami Vice. So who is Paul Michael Glazer? Arnold Schwarzenegger thought he was a terrible choice to direct because he was best known for playing Detective Starsky on TV, Starsky and Hutch. Which I don't think I ever knew that until like doing this research. Like I had no idea that's who the director was.
Yeah, I don't think I ever bothered to look into that. And I'm like, wait, Starsky?
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger thought he was a terrible choice because he was best known for playing Starsky. He was also coming from a TV background and had no experience as a feature film director at all. He thought Glazer shot the film like a TV show, losing all the script's deeper themes. Schwarzenegger suspected that because Glazer was a last-minute replacement, he didn't have time to research the future he was depicting, unlike James Cameron had with The Terminator. Also, in the TV industry, they hire directors, and the very next week they have to shoot. So he didn't place much blame. He didn't place all of the blame at Glazer's feet. So, yeah, I think, and I read that was basically why he was hired, was because he knew television was a much faster, process, and they were already behind, and they wanted to get it out the same year. So they basically hired him to direct it, knowing that he could do it quick, which was amazing to me. The budget for this movie was actually like 3 times more than Predator.
I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, there was some pretty big set.
Yeah, but the Predator effects are so much better.
The effects, but set and costume and
part of it was Schwarzenegger's salary too, because it had ballooned at that point.
So Starsky, because that's what I'm going to refer to him as.
Sure, yeah.
He also directed The Cutting Edge. And Kazam. That's his claim to fame right there.
The one with Sinbad?
No. That's Shazam.
Shazam, gotcha.
Yeah, and that's a Mandela effect. No, he directed Kazam, and he directed what's the name of the basketball movie with Kevin Bacon?
The Air Up
There. Yeah.
He directed that one too.
Okay.
So not the greatest track record when it comes to directing, but
and all that could pass as TV movies, I think, just about.
Yeah. Cutting Edge is pretty good, though.
Yeah, I do like Cutting Edge. That's a good movie. Toe pick. Anyway, moving on. So for you, Laramy, did you know that Christopher Reeve was attached to play Ben Richards early in production?
I did not.
Yeah. LA Weekly stated that the film's tone changed from a dark allegory to a humorous action film with the change of the film star. With Reeve, The Running Man was about an unemployed man who goes on a violent game show for a 30-day period to feed his family, which sounds more like the book.
Yeah, that's which I was thinking. If Christopher Reeve, I could see Christopher Reeve playing the character from the book.
Yeah,
so
because they wanted to need somebody that didn't have much food, much more of an everyman. Schwarzenegger is not an everyman. Yeah,
no.
With Glazer and Schwarzenegger, the protagonist became a condemned but innocent criminal forced into a 3-hour gladiator-style game show by the justice system. Screenwriter Stephen E. D'Souza, known for writing previous action hits like 48 Hours and Commando, wrote 15 different drafts of the script over the course of the film's development.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many drafts are normal for these kinds of movies. I mean, 15 sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
But, it shows.
Yeah. I mean, they do rewrites like during production, but
right.
Yeah. But probably with like the different directors, different actors they had, set up. So, but obviously, supposedly Schwarzenegger was actually a fan of the book and really wanted to play the role. So, yeah, but not the way that he played it for sure. So,
and now these messages. What seems to be the problem, pal?
There's just so much pain in the world, so many issues. I don't think I can bear it.
Hell, friendo, it sounds like you could use a dose of pop culture roulette.
Pop Culture Roulette? What's that? Some sort of pop culture themed podcast or something?
That's right, sonny boy. When hope seems far, dive into some PCR.
But I already get my entertainment news from Variety.
Huh, that's pretty good. If you're a chucklehead, PCR gives you news you need, condensed, unfiltered, and raw, from three nerds who know a little something about something.
Wow, okay, sign me up.
That's the spirit. Pop Culture Roulette. New episodes every Monday, available on all major podcast directories.
Hey there, fellow 80s movie aficionados. Are you ready to embark on a nostalgia-filled journey to the greatest era of cinema? Then look no further than the Retro Life for You 80s Movie Podcast. Join us every week as we rewind the VHS tapes, dust off those Betamax classics, and dive headfirst into the neon-soaked, totally tubular world of the 1980s movies. From the Brat Pack to action heroes, we've got it all covered. Breakfast Club, Ghostbusters, E.T. and Indiana Jones, and more. It's like a trip in Doc Brown's time machine, but without the DeLorean. So whether you're a die-hard 80s film buff or just curious about the cinematic gems of the past, Retro Life for You is your ticket to the ultimate movie time warp. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Retro Life for You, and we can be found anywhere you listen to your podcast, as well as on our website, www.retrolife4u.com.
Curious about how you can achieve smooth, natural-looking, long-lasting filler results? The Juvederm collection of fillers has 6 unique gel fillers that add subtle volume and are designed for different needs in specific areas of the face, like lips, cheeks, chin, smile lines, under eyes, and jawline. Ask your licensed specialist for a full face assessment today and download the ALLE app, that's ALLE, the official loyalty program of Juvederm, to save on treatments and get a look that's true to you. For important safety information and to find a licensed specialist, visit Juvederm.com. That's JUVEDERM.com. Not for people with severe allergic reactions, allergies to lidocaine, or the proteins used in Juvederm. Common side effects include injection site redness, swelling, pain, tenderness, firmness, lumps, bumps, bruising, discoloration, or itching. There's a risk of unintentional injection into a blood vessel, which can cause vision abnormalities, blindness, stroke, temporary scabs, or scarring. Talk to a licensed specialist to find out if it's right for you.
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
The movie is only loosely based on the book. The book does not feature a protagonist. The book does feature a protagonist named Ben Richards, totalitarian dystopia, and The Running Man being the most popular show in people hunting Ben. The book takes place in 2025. Ben is described as scrawny. His daughter, Kathy, is gravely ill. His wife, Sheila, has had to resort to prostitution, and Ben is blacklisted from his trade. He voluntarily goes on a game show to earn money. There are numerous dangerous and deadly game shows, like one where people with heart conditions run on a treadmill for money. He is chosen for The Running Man due to his high test scores. The executive producer is Dan Killian, and the host is named Bobby Thompson. In The Running Man, the contestant is declared an enemy of the state and released with a brief head start before hunters begin chasing. The contestant earns $100 per hour, and they stay alive and avoid capture. An additional $100 for each law enforcement officer or hunter they kill, and a grand prize of $1 billion, if they can survive for 30 days. Viewers can receive cash rewards by informing the network of the contestants' whereabouts. They can go anywhere in the world, but are given a camera and required to videotape 2 messages a day to mail back to the studio. If they fail to mail a video, they will breach the contract, forfeit the money, and be hunted indefinitely. No one has ever claimed the grand prize, and Ben is simply hoping to live long enough to help his family. Ben tries to use his videos to inform the public about the conditions of the underclass, The network dubs this over with obscenities and threats. Ben makes his way to Derry, Maine, where many of Stephen King's novels are based. And
but this was before that was kind of
right. Yeah,
this was a very early mention of Derry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He kidnaps a woman named Amelia Williams. He bluffs his way onto an airplane, meeting lead hunter Evan McCone. He learns that he has not only broken the Running Man's record by 8 days, but that his exploits have inspired the lower class to rise up to fight against their oppressors. Killian calls and offers Ben the position of lead hunter, but tells him that an intruder killed his wife and child before he even started the show. Ben accepts the offer, then kills McCone and the flight crew, but is mortally wounded. He lets Amelia parachute to safety, then flies the plane into the game's network tower, killing himself and Killian.
In other words, Stephen King needed to end the book, and so he did.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen King having a bad ending? Huh, that's shocking, you say.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'll go back and say, like, I have read, I don't think I finished the novel, but I remember, like, in high school, after years after I'd seen the movie, I was in the library and saw The Running Man by Richard Bachman on the shelf, and I was like, oh, this must be based on the movie. So I remember reading it and really liking the novel, like thinking this is what the movie should have been. Like, well, at least the beginning. Like I said, I didn't finish it, but the idea seemed more, realistic than what the movie was. I mean, the movie is very satirical and sometimes more of a parody than what you would think reality would be.
Yeah, the book is more of a, the most deadliest game type story.
Okay,
is what that is. So yeah, the movie The Jerk, that's a movie that's closer to the book than this movie is. Yeah, it's not good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the Richard Bachman stuff. So there are 4 what are actually considered the Bachman books, and this was the 4th one. And then after it was revealed that Richard Bachman was Stephen King, he did release a 5th one, which is thinner, which also got turned into a movie.
Right.
But the first 4, I mean, they're roughly the same story. It's, guy gets upset, guy takes revenge. In essence. One of them even has, instead of running, a guy has to walk, and if he ever slows down walking, he potentially would be shot and killed.
Didn't they just make that one into a movie?
I don't know.
Like, it sounds like a slower version of Crank with Jason Statham.
Yeah, but it's like a whole group of men who have to just continuously walk. But yeah, this one he signs up for it. There's no getting getting framed. Of course, they do end up framing him as a villain, just for the ratings and to get the viewers interested. But he's just a regular dude who he does lose his job because he refuses to do something.
Okay.
He refused to fix some. I don't remember what it was, but he refused to fix something because it had a radiation leak, and he was like, if I do that, like, it's going to kill me. And so he refuses to do it, and then he gets fired. That's why his wife then has to take some I think they actually say take some tricks in the book. And he doesn't like that. He doesn't want her to have to do that. So he signs up to be on one of the mini game shows. Like you mentioned, the one about the running and on the treadmill.
Right.
Then I love the one in the movie, the climbing for
dollars.
Yeah.
Climbing for dollars.
Yeah. So yeah, they're all like that, and he gets picked for Running Man. And then it's just they give him, I believe it's a 4-hour head start. But the funny thing is that he has to send, because again, the book was released in, I think, 82, 81.
Yeah, 82.
82, but I'm pretty sure Stephen King started writing it in the 70s.
Okay.
Probably, it very much has a feel of he's really dealing with the climate of the 70s. But having the videotape where he has to send in 2 videotapes, and of course, this is before there's any idea of the internet or anything, so they're using this idea of the videotapes. And he clearly figures out, as anybody would, that they're tracking him from these him mailing these, because even though they're saying they're not, they tell him we don't send that information to the hunters. You know good and darn well they're sending that information to the hunters.
Right.
He starts in New York. He ends up thinking he can just kind of hide out in this one like hotel. Once he finds out he can't, he burns the place down, kills a few cops, and of course they use that against him. And then, whereas you would think most people would think, let's go south or let's go further west, he decides to go to Maine. Why you would choose to go from New York to Maine, I don't know. But that's what he chooses to do. He does. There also is a part of the game, I don't think you mentioned this in your summary, where if a civilian, a citizen, whatever you want to call them, chooses to help him, that is actually a crime. And so that, adds to some of the tension, but he does meet a few people that do actually end up helping him. But yeah, it's a slow, I will say it's a quick read, but it's a slow read. You understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, I remember that from reading it.
Yeah, because I want to say it's only like 200-300 pages, so it's not a long novel. The copy I have is actually one of those little short paperbacks. But it drags as you're reading it. But yeah, that now the like you said, the aspect of Killian being a character, it's similar. He's just not the host,
right?
And then there's the offering him the job that Killian does in both the movies,
right.
And that's really it. Like that's absolutely it. The hunters that are after him are just like bounty hunters. Like they're just plainclothes cops. Like there's nothing special about them. There's no video game aspect of it like the movie has. There's none of that. But Ben Richards in the book is very clever in terms of the stuff he does. When he kidnaps the one woman at the end and uses her to get the plane, like he does the whole thing, making them believe that he has a bomb strapped to him, and that he'll blow things up. And all it is like stuff he found in the lady's car that he just kind of shoved all together. But he's like, you're not going to take the risk, which is really a really weird part towards the end, because he's like, you won't kill me on live television. And I'm like, that's the whole premise of the game, isn't it?
Right.
Like,
right.
Okay. Now, I didn't mention that, and you kind of mentioned it in here. When he starts outsmarting them, they do use the videos and they edit them, as you said, they kind of dub over them.
Right.
But they do edit them so that he looks more like a bad guy to the audience. But yeah, and then like I said, it just ends. They tell him that his wife and child were murdered, that there was a break-in at their apartment, and that his wife and child were, I believe, stabbed, is what they actually say. But he doesn't receive confirmation of this, which I did not like.
Right.
Because
he just believes them.
Yeah, part of me is like, are they maybe still alive? Or did they die, but it was actually the network that killed them in retaliation for what he's doing? I wish I would have known that, but yeah, we just get him flying the plane into the network's building and Killian looking out the window, and I think he curses, and I think that's the last line of the book is him just cursing as he sees the plane coming. But I didn't mention this. So in the book, in the future, everyone is given a television. Like no matter your status or anything, you're given a television that they call a freebie. Which I think is so funny that is the name of a streaming service that we have now.
Right.
The IMDb TV turned into freebie.
Yeah, that's owned by Amazon.
Yes. So I'm like, was that done intentional? And with the fact that 2025 is just around the corner.
No, I think somebody didn't pay attention, and that was just a happy accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it though. But yeah, why would you set the movie in 2019 when the book is 2025?
I thought it was 2017.
No, it starts in 2017.
Oh, right.
And then he spends 18 months in prison,
You're right.
and it's 2019 at the time of the main story. But still, why wouldn't you just go ahead and set it in 2020? What was the importance of setting it in 2019? I didn't get that.
Yeah. I just thought because 87, 2017, they were trying to make somewhat correlation there, at least at the beginning. But
okay, set it to 2027 then.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
that'd be closer.
I will say I do find it fascinating that Stephen King, Richard Bachman, and even these producers saw something, because reality TV didn't really exist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They both got, I don't know if it was one of a chicken egg situation, or if it was, they saw where TV was heading. And obviously we're not to the point where we're having, people hunted down for sport on live TV, but some of the game shows that we have are not that far off. It's, I mean, there's been a couple other, there's a movie that came out of, I want to say a few years ago, but it's probably been more like 10 to 15, 20 years ago. That sounds a lot more like the book. It was called Series 7 or something in that ballpark. It was an independent film, but it definitely it sounds a lot more like the book of Running Man than what we got for the movie. But I mean, it was definitely at the beginning of Survivor and Big Brother and all that stuff, where they were like, this is where it's heading. If we don't pay attention, this is where it's heading. and clearly there was something in the air ahead of time, because, Stephen King, granted, but that's always the argument you have with Jules Verne or H.G. Wells or, people like that, them prognosticating what was coming, or was them saying I want to do this, people going, I can do that for real.
Yeah.
Well, again, part of me wonders, because I mentioned that it's very similar to The Most Dangerous Game, which was a early 1900s book. So I don't know if maybe Stephen King was using kind of that idea in terms of the actual game. But you're also looking at, like I said, I think he started writing this in the 70s. Game shows were hitting a stride right there in the 70s and into the 80s.
Yeah. And he did base the host more like the 50s and 60s game show host, right? It wasn't, the game show host didn't really have as much to do with, the producer was the real antagonist. It wasn't the game show host.
Yeah, the game show host was really just a figurehead. But yeah, I think the movie Surviving the Game, which is the Most Dangerous Game with Ice-T. That's probably a closer example of what this movie or this book was. But yeah, it's not a good book. This is something where I am okay with all of the differences and changes that they made. So this is a fun movie, and I like it for what it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And just keep in mind the Surviving the Game with Ice-T was a financial bomb at the box office. So I do not think doing the actual Running Man would have been any good.
All right, hot take. Thank you, Laramy. No, it's good. Yeah, cool. All right, casting. We've got, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Captain Benjamin Stewart Ben Richards. Of course, we've covered him over the other episodes already, but I'll do a quick synopsis here. After retiring from bodybuilding, he gained worldwide fame as a Hollywood action star with his breakthrough role in Conan the Barbarian in 1982, as well as the sequel in 1984. After playing the title character in the science fiction film The Terminator, he starred in Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and 3 other sequels. His other successful action films include Commando in 85, Predator in 87, Total Recall in 90, True Lies in 94, in addition to comedy films such as Twins in 88, Kindergarten Cop in 1990, and Jingle All the Way in 1996.
Yeah, so this movie and Jingle All the Way, I think those are the first two I think of when I'm going, yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger is just a regular dude.
Right.
Yeah. That's what he's supposed to be.
Right.
He's supposed to be a regular dude. And just because when I see Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think of a name like Ben Richards.
Right.
Absolutely.
Listen, I love True Lies. I enjoy Jingle All the Way, but the idea of the movie is like that he's just this normal guy when he is towering over everybody and physically larger than everyone in the scene.
And that's actually a problem I have with the movie. Like when Richard Dawson sees him and he was like, "Oh, check him out. Look at him."
Right.
How does he not think that this mountain of a man
it's gonna
I know he's shorter than he's usually portrayed.
Right.
But still, this man with muscles the size of Buicks, like, how does he not think, you know what, this could be actually a problem?
And he's called the Butcher of Bakersfield. So even if he doesn't know that he was wrongfully convicted, he doesn't care.
I'm sure he already knows.
Yeah. All right. So the question: favorite Schwarzenegger 80s movie? Where does this in your top 5 at all?
Of just Arnold 80s movies?
Yeah, just 80s.
I would probably say yes.
How many?
How many?
6, right?
I was about to say, how many movies did he do in the 80s?
Let's see.
A lot.
You had Conan and Barbarian and Destroyer. You had Raw Deal. You had Red Heat, Commando, Terminator, Running Man. What am I missing, Nicholas? Because you're looking at the list.
Well, you inspired an upcoming episode of, and by the time this one comes out, I think I will have already done the Arnold Schwarzenegger bracket.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that's what I was working on yesterday.
And I didn't get invited.
Running Man. Well, yeah. I would say I would put this in
from
my
the
top
80s.
From the 80s, yes.
Yeah.
Like
if you're just saying from the 80s and not his entire
no
filmography, I would absolutely say yes.
So what's your favorite 80s Schwarzenegger movie?
It's got to be either Terminator or Predator.
Yeah, I'm probably going to say Predator over Terminator.
Yeah, it's Predator for me. People love Terminator, and I don't think it's a terrible movie, but it's just not my favorite. And I think because it's less about Schwarzenegger, I don't think of it as being. I know it's his breakout role, but he's barely in the movie. It seems.
Yeah, he's known for the Terminator because of Terminator 2.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, this was probably I would rank them Predator, then Running Man, then probably Commando before I would get to Terminator.
I haven't seen Commando enough to. I wouldn't put it in my top 5 just because I'm not familiar with the movie enough, and I've never seen Raw Deal. So
you're not missing anything.
Yeah,
Raw Deal is pretty terrible. Red Heat isn't much better. I've recently rewatched both of those.
I haven't seen Red Heat either. Which one's the one with Jim Belushi?
Red Heat.
Okay,
and I used to get those mixed up. Yeah. Raw Deal, he's like a mob hitman that goes undercover as a mob hitman or something. So, and of course Conan, but Conan is good, but I guess I saw that one so late. That was one I was definitely not allowed to watch as a kid. So,
I would probably, in no particular order, but my 5 from the 80s would probably be Predator, Terminator, Conan, Running Man, and Twins.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'd throw Twins in. That's a good one.
Twins has got to be in there. I love Twins.
That is a good one. It's been a long time since I watched it, but I do remember liking it.
I haven't watched it in a long time either. I have to add that to the list for next year.
Yeah.
So what about your top 5, Nicholas?
It's I'm going to probably
or am I spoiling that for your episode?
No, we haven't done it yet, but I don't know. I get the argument for him not really being as much in the Terminator. I love that movie even without his presence a whole lot in the movie. I like Predator an awful lot. I like Twins. Like Laramy, I haven't seen Commando enough. Like, I think I just watched it for the first time last year. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, I've probably seen Predator and Running Man more than the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I've definitely watched Terminator 2 way more than I watched Terminator.
Yeah.
But,
Same.
you know.
Yeah. I do know Commando, even though I haven't seen it. I do know Commando is another movie he says I'll be back in.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
I did write that down because he looks at Killian and says, I'll be back. And then I just wrote, how many movies has he said that in?
Yeah, I actually don't know.
There's got to be a stat somewhere that says that.
Well, yeah. I mean, because I was actually even trying to think. It's been a while since I've seen it. Does he actually say it in Expendables or Expendables 2? I know that he flips taglines with Bruce Willis.
Right.
And he says yippee-ki-yay, and Bruce Willis says I'll be back. I do remember that from Expendables 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure if he ever actually says it.
Yeah, I don't remember. But I think in The Running Man, it was actually supposed to be, he wasn't supposed to say, oh, he said, I'll be coming back was the actual line. And then they changed it to I'll be back because of it was more popular. Anyway.
Okay, here we go. I found it.
Got it.
I found it. So he obviously says it in Terminator. Yeah, he says it in Terminator 2. He says, stay here, I'll be back. Terminator 3, he says, she'll be back.
Doesn't count.
No. Also, Terminator Salvation, John Connor says it. Genesis, another character, says it. Dark Fate, Sarah says it. Okay, he says it in Commando. He says, I'll be back, Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
The Running Man. He says it in Twins. He says to one of the doctors, if you're lying to me, I'll be back. He says it in Total Recall as he's strapped into so very similar moment. He says it 3 times in The Last Action Hero. And yeah. Oh yeah. And then here it is. Expendables 2, during a gunfight in an airport, Trench, which is Schwarzenegger, says, I'm almost out, I'll be back.
Oh, okay.
In which Church, who is Bruce Willis, replies, you've been back enough, I'll be back. And then Schwarzenegger mutters, yippee-ki-yay. So, yeah, there you go.
All right. 3 times in Last Action Hero because we hadn't heard it enough already. So let's triple up on it. So yeah.
I didn't go back, even though I'm pretty sure it's probably on my DVD copy of The Running Man. I didn't go back and watch a trailer. They had to have put the I'll be back line in the trailer.
If not, it was all over the TV spots because I remember that being like heavily advertised. All right, well, let's move a little bit further down. So next on the list, we got Maria Conchita Alonso as Amber Mendez. She made her Hollywood film debut on Moscow on the Hudson in '84 with Robin Williams. She also starred in Touch and Go in '86 with Michael Keaton, Extreme Prejudice in '87, Colors in '88, Vampire's Kiss with Nick Cage in '89, Predator 2 in 1990, and The House of the Spirits in 1993. So, any thoughts on her character?
Nope.
Typical female character in an action movie.
Whose story arc makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
The fact that he just chooses to walk off with her at the end. I'm like, chick tried to like get you killed 4 times,
several times,
when
right?
When y'all met, like, come on.
All right, and then we got my favorite, Richard Dawson as Damon Killian. When Richard moved to the United States, he began acting on the well-known series Hogan's Heroes in 1965.
Why did he never bring that show up? He brought up Gilligan's Island. They brought up I forgot what other old show.
Star Trek. It's mentioned.
Yeah, Star Trek got me. Why did Richard Dawson not bring up Hogan's Heroes? That would have been just perfect.
Right. So when Hogan's Heroes ended in 1971, not long after that, in 73, he became a panelist on The Match Game and remained there until 1978. While he was on Match Game, he hosted his own show called The Family Feud, which started in 1976. He's most remembered by his trademark of kissing all the female contestants.
Of sexually assaulting women. That was his trademark.
Yeah. Many people who worked with Richard Dawson on the game show said that in real life, Dawson was more like his character in his handling of the underlings. which I was like, that's probably pretty true.
Yep.
But he was not their first choice. Before Richard Dawson was cast, the production crew wanted Chuck Woolery to play Damon Killian.
I knew it. Before you said that, I was like, Chuck Woolery. It has to be Chuck Woolery.
Well, they said because Woolery was about the same size as Schwarzenegger and would have been a perfect fit to be an opponent, but Woolery was too busy with Love Connection and Scrabble.
So we'll be back in 2 and 2.
Yeah. So Schwarzenegger requested Richard Dawson accept the role because he and Dawson had become close friends, as Schwarzenegger was a huge fan of the Family Feud. So
I don't know if Chuck Woolery. I don't know. I think he would have been. I don't know if he could have played that conniving character.
Yeah,
he was kind of a nice guy. He was a big guy, like
right.
He was a nice guy.
Yeah.
At least he portrayed it as how he's portrayed on television.
Right. Well, so you thought Richard Dawson was a nice guy?
No, Richard Dawson always had that undertone of this man could be working for the mob for like, especially the way, and he does it. It's the way he holds his like pinky when he's doing. There's something about it. Like I really think that man could have been working for the mob. So no, I definitely had no problem seeing him as a bad guy. Chuck Woolery, a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least he's not a CIA operative like Chuck Barris.
Yeah. All right, so we got several more to cover. I'm going to try to hit the highlights here. Yaphet Kotto as William Laughlin. He began acting on stage in 1958 with little theatrical experience, making his debut in the title role of Othello, a role he eventually reprised on screen in 1980. He also appeared on Broadway as the understudy to James Earl Jones in The Great White Hope. After joining the actor studio, he commenced his screen career and soon gathered critical recognition with several edgy performances across diverse genres. So
I would have loved to have seen his face the day that the costumer showed him that onesie that he would have to wear, because that is the least flattering thing. He's the one that, no offense to him as a person, because I wouldn't have looked good in it either.
Oh,
but he that was not something he should have worn.
Yeah. It was funny because when I saw him, he was definitely recognizable, one of those guys. But looking at his filmography, like I think he did a lot of TV, which is probably, he had more TV credits that I recognized than movie credits. Like he was a Bond villain in Live and Let Die.
Yeah, he was a big Bond villain. In that one.
Yeah. He was in the Thomas Crown Affair, the 1968 version, which I didn't see until much later in life. But one funny thing was he actually turned down the part of Lando Calrissian because he didn't want to be typecast.
Oh, good. Good move on his part.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he was, you talked about TV. He was kind of the main character on the show Homicide.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that was later, more of. And later, and you're talking about recognizing him. How do you not immediately think of Alien when you see him?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot he was an alien too. Yep. You're right. Yeah, that's probably what it was.
I just said that's the first thing I think of when I see him.
Yeah. That was on there. All right, then we got Jesse the Body Ventura as Captain Freedom, and one of the favorite part of the movie is his exercise commercial that or program she's watching. Are you ready to sweat? So near the end of his wrestling career, Ventura began acting. He appeared in the movie Predator, whose cast included Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sonny Landham. Ventura became close friends with Schwarzenegger during the production of Predator. He appeared in 2 episodes of Zorro, filmed in Madrid, Spain in 1991. He had a starring role in the 1990 sci-fi movie Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe. He had supporting roles in this, The Running Man, No Holds Barred, Thunderground, Demolition Man, Repossessed, Ricochet, The Master of Disguise, Ready to Rumble, and Batman and Robin. His first, the first.
He didn't have a supporting role in Batman and Robin. He had a bit part as a guard for Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, I like him better in Predator, but he's funny. It's funny in this one. So, my favorite scene with him is when he comes in with like half dressed as the. I used to beat these guys with my bare hands like barbarians or like gladiators. Yeah,
he got like a toaster strapped to his chest.
Oh man. All right, and then we got Jim Brown as Fireball, often mentioned as
probably one of the
player.
nicest guys in the world. That you have as this main like bad guy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He's mentioned as the greatest player in NFL history. He was American fullback for the Cleveland Browns. First appeared on movie screens in the Western Rio Conchos in '64, followed by a strong supporting role as convict Commando Jefferson in the World War II action film The Dirty Dozen. He was kept busy with additional on-screen appearances in other fast-paced films, including Ice Station Zebra in 1968, Hunter Rifles in 1969, and El Candor in 1970. But he grew popular during the boom of the blaxploitation cinema in the early 1970s, portraying tough, no-nonsense characters in Slaughter, Black Gun, and Three the Hard Way.
And then, of course, later in Mars Attacks. Everybody loves him in Mars Attacks.
Yep. Yeah, he came back in 1988 for I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, and Mars Attacks. And then he was also in Any Given Sunday in 1999. So, but yeah, good old Jim Brown. And then we've got Erland Van Lith as Dynamo. He was
as Light Bright Man.
Yeah. Hello, over here, Mr. Christmas Tree.
He literally has light bright pegs stuck to him. That's it's ridiculous.
So he was a heavyweight wrestling. He was on the heavyweight wrestling team in the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal. He was cut from the team for the 1980 Olympics. He won the bronze medal in international competition held in Tehran in 1978. But he was spotted in a New York City athletic club by a casting director, which led to his role as a fearsome terror, leader of the Fordham Baldies in the 1979 Philip Kaufman film The Wanderers. He continued to juggle his careers in film and information technology while also singing frequently with the Amato Opera in New York, studying to become a Helden baritone and teaching computer programming at Manhattan Community College.
Crazy.
He's perhaps best known for his role as Grossberger in Stir Crazy with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. He was also in Alone in the Dark with Jack Palance, Martin Landau, Donald Pleasance, and Dwight Schultz. But that was actually him singing opera in the movie. But sad to say, he died of a heart attack 2 months before the movie was released. All right, a few here, and then we're almost done. Marvin J. McIntyre as Harold Weiss. Amazingly, there's no information on him on IMDb or Wikipedia, but he was in several movies, including Pale Rider in 1985, Short Circuit in 1986, and Back to the Future 3 in 1990. Same with...
I've seen all of those movies. Couldn't tell you who he was in any of them.
And same with Gus Rethwish as Buzzsaw Vitowski. He was in House 2, The Second Story. He was also in Twins and The Scorpion King in 2002.
He had to have been a pro wrestler of some sort.
Yeah. Well, sticking with the wrestler team, you've got Professor Toro Tanaka as Professor Zero. It's worth noting that Tanaka's title of professor is not from a postdoctorate academic rank, but rather from the wrestling name the actor went under in a wrestling career from the 60s through the 80s, sometimes shortened to Professor Tanaka. His first film role was in An Eye for an Eye with Chuck Norris, and he appeared with Schwarzenegger twice in The Running Man and Last Action Hero.
But I look, just this because this was my childhood.
Yes,
he's Francis's butler in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Okay, that's where that
was.
Was
probably where you remember from.
Yep.
He definitely looked familiar, but I'd probably seen him doing wrestling as well because I was into wrestling at that time too. So, and then Mick Fleetwood as Mick, of course, famously from Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, this was the stupidest casting in my opinion. Of one, why? That's my first question. Why? And then two, was he so out of it that they couldn't name his character anything? That he had to just go by his actual name? It's
hinted that he's actually playing himself in the movie. In the film, the resistance leader's name is Mick. He's British. And when Mick meets Richards to remove his explosive collar from around his neck, he says to him, "You're one of the cops who locked up all my friends, burned my songs." And you can also tell he's got on makeup to make him look older. So that somewhat connects to me, but it's still a stretch, I think.
And is that why his second in command is a Zappa?
Right. Dweezil Zappa. Yeah. Who's next on the list. But, his most famous cameo role was in Pretty in Pink as Andy's friend Simon. I don't have much about them because they're, neither one of them did anything else acting wise besides this movie pretty much.
Now I remember Dweezil and his brother like hosted like movies or something on USA when I was growing up.
Yeah, and then Dweezil was one of the VJs on MTV for a while too. So he was definitely, I recognize, like seeing it as a kid, I think I recognized him before I knew who Mick Fleetwood was.
Yep.
All right, 2 more and then we're done. So of course we got to mention Sven Thorson as Sven, once again, someone playing themselves.
Yeah.
Remarkable sporting
probably
background.
because of the steroids.
Yeah. Champion bodybuilder, power lifter, and karate black belt made him an obvious choice for movie roles as Muscle for Hire. Of course, he's most known for Conan the Barbarian '82, which is where he became friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who pretty much put him in every movie he made after that, including Predator, Twins, Red Heat, and End of Days. His other on-screen appearances
Stick around.
Yeah. Lethal Weapon, Quick and the Dead, Hunt for Red October, On Deadly Ground, and Gladiator in 2000. He also did stunt work for Bram Stoker's Dracula, Bulletproof, Eraser, Soldier, and Collateral. On television, he also was seen on episodes of Baywatch and The A-Team.
You are missing one of his best roles, though.
What's that?
Mallrats.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That is him in Mallrats.
Even LaFleur's.
Yeah.
All right, and then last on my list, because
Kurt Fuller. It's got to be Kurt Fuller.
Yes, Tony. Fuller has gone to have a very successful career working with some of Hollywood's best directors, including David O. Russell, Tony Scott, Harold Ramis, and Ivan Reitman, among others. His numerous film credits include Red Heat, Ray, Ghostbusters 2, my favorite, Wayne's World, and The Pursuit of Happiness. He also provided the voice of the dispatcher who orders Richards to kill the unarmed civilians in the Bakersfield riot. But yeah, this was his actual first film role. He actually came from a Broadway background and was trying to break into the business. But that's the cast as I see it. Anybody that I left off, any other guys that I think that those were more than I should have done.
I had one.
Okay.
Very briefly, he was Arnold's agent.
Right.
Oh yeah,
that guy.
Ken Lerner.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I immediately was like, "Oh, that's the one of the dads on Goldberg's," but he's one of those. He's mainly TV, but he's done a lot of
Yeah, I told you as soon as you said that, I was like, "Oh yeah, I love the part when he stabs him in the back with the pen."
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes where he's like, "Oh, sign this," and he just stabs him right in the back.
Right.
Yeah, I totally forgot because he was Principal Flutie at the beginning, the first season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's the principal that gets eaten by the students that are like possessed by jackals or something like that. Like,
all right, let's talk iconic and favorite scenes. So if someone said to you The Running Man from 1987, what's the first thing that pops in your head, Nicholas?
Launching the contestants in the tubes.
That's mine too, so I'm just gonna go ahead and call it. That was mine too.
Yeah. One of the coolest
and completely unnecessary.
Of course,
like, because then
how far
Jim
down
Brown
did they go?
flies there though.
Yeah.
That's the
I need a map of what that set really was, because they end up like
it doesn't follow logic.
At all. Iconic scene like that's up there. I think the exchange between I'll be back and he says only in reruns. That's because I think because once again they played that so many times in the trailers. I remember that. All right, what about favorite scenes?
I mean, is it not the Paula Abdul choreographed dance number that takes up a whole 10 minutes of this movie?
Dynamo's death scene when she takes him out.
Oh, in the hallway?
Yeah. That was kind of got what he was coming. Then I just wrote down a bunch of one-liners when
the Sub-Zero, it's more like Plane Zero.
Yeah. Which makes no sense.
No.
Killian's death, that hit the spot.
Which I don't think people realize is a callback to the commercial from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's on the billboard too.
Yeah.
Or hey, what happened to Buzzsaw? He had to split.
Wouldn't it have made more sense if he actually killed Dynamo by taking off his genitals like he did Buzzsaw? And then he could have said a line like, you went from tenor to soprano, or now the fat lady does sing. I think that would have That would have been good.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was just so many. Arnold was like just delivering the one-liners one after another in this one. Like it was just
funny or not, they just kept coming out, right?
Yeah.
They were great. I don't care what you say. That's it's one of the things that's fun about these action, especially Arnold action movies of the 80s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I will say, not necessarily a favorite scene, but as somebody who works on chainsaws and other such things, chainsaws don't work that way.
Now, is it just me? Does he actually wield that chainsaw like Ash from Evil Dead, where his hand is actually in the chainsaw?
I wasn't paying that close attention. I just was like, you can't wield a chainsaw that way. Plus, a chainsaw is not going to cut through. I mean, even if it's like the world's coolest chainsaw, it's not going to cut through a pillar like it's a sword.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just not how that works. Like yeah.
You mean it's not going to cut through what is, I guess, supposed to be a metal pillar as if it was just a cheap piece of wood?
Yes. I mean, you might be able to use a chainsaw to cut through metal, but it's not going to do it like it's a samurai sword.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, another great line. I'm going to throw up. Well, with this shirt, you would never notice. Like,
yes.
Whatever that line was.
That is one of my favorite lines for sure.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
My other thing about Buzzsaw with the chainsaws, you mentioned chainsaws. Why did he never use the other two that he had hanging from his belt?
Yeah. He never takes a weapon from any of the people that he's killed.
Well, but why didn't Buzzsaw? Like, why didn't he wield two chainsaws? Like that, Arnold probably couldn't have stopped two chainsaws.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of the deaths, I'm like, how is he outsmarting you guys with these? Follow me up this hill when you know that it's going to topple over. Or
how does Dynamo not know what his little doom buggy can and cannot do?
Somebody would have told him, you know what? Stay on the track. Don't ever go up on the hill. You'll topple over. And then when he's being dragged by is it Buzzsaw that's on the motorcycle?
Yes.
And then he gets behind enough and he like wraps the cord around a heart, the thing, and he falls off or gets thrown off the motorcycle. Yeah.
Good, quick, just random other question while I'm thinking about things from the movie. Are either one of you curious how the Running Man home board game works?
I want the home game. That's I wanted it since the beginning. Like, and that was my question. How does it work?
Yeah. How do you play the board game, the at-home board game?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely every game show I watched back in the 80s. Like that was like the consolation prize. You got the at-home edition. But no, I didn't think about it until you brought it up. But yeah, how do you play that?
How do you play?
Home?
I also love did y'all? It's one of those things you just do now. Did y'all listen all the way through the credits? Did you hear the thing at the end of the credits?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh no, I missed it. I stopped.
You missed it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got
at the end of the credits, they give a 100 number or something. 1-800 number.
It's like a disclaimer thing. Or has been brought to you by.
Yeah, let's say the Running Man has been brought to you by Breakaway Paramilitary Uniforms, Orthopure Pure Procreation Pills, and Cadre Cola. It hits the spot. Promotional consideration paid for by Kelton Flamethrowers, Wainwright Electrical Launchers, and Hammond and Cage Chainsaws. Damon Killian's wardrobe is by Ches Antoni, 19th century craftsmanship for the 21st century man. Cadre Trooper and Studio Guards sidearms provided by Colchester, the Pistol of Patriots. Remember, tickets for the ICS Studio Tour are always available for Class A citizens in good standing. If you'd like to be a contestant on The Running Man, it would send a self-addressed stamped envelope. Did that not take you back?
Yep.
To ICS Talent Hunt, care of your local affiliate, and then go out and do something really despicable. I'm Phil Hilton. Good night and take care.
Well, did you, in the background of a couple of the scenes, they had other shows, other games,
the hate
game.
Well, they had that, but they had credits running.
Yes, in the control room at the end.
In the control room. Yeah. And if you read it, it's just pure nonsense.
It is.
It is just
music by Do Re Mi, and
just pure
makeup
pure
by face painting or something. Yeah, it was just I did see that.
I saw it on IMDb. They had it all written out, but I saw it and I was like, Yeah, I mean, I think it was the first time I've ever paid attention to that before, but it's like, yeah, no, they're banking on the fact that you're not watching the background. Like,
No.
And then too, like for that, like if I would have watched it on, like watching it on VHS or TV, that part would have been cut out.
It wouldn't have been clear enough.
It's fully on the right, the far right of the letterbox. So you only would have seen it in the theater or now on, Blu-ray or, streaming. But I wouldn't have saw that at all. But yeah, I do want to mention some of my favorite scenes for like comedy reasons is knowing when it's Arnold Schwarzenegger running and it's the stunt double, and how when Schwarzenegger is running, you can tell he's about to fall over, like he's breathing very heavily because he obviously doesn't do much cardio. But when the stunt man is running, it's like a glide, like it's a real runner that's running, which I thought was funny. I do like how the movie opens. Well, it's not the movie second opening, but the escape from the prison camp or whatever. Like I thought that was pretty decent. It does have its flaws. I mean, why would you have your computer with the codes in the middle of the floor where everybody's working
in giant font?
Yeah.
The code just appears in giant font.
And then once they're outside, the guy is there in basically like a elementary school desk with a computer with two guys. They're shooting everybody except for the guy at the computer while he's trying to, it's like, shoot the guy at the computer. Shoot the guy. Shoot the computer.
He's the one that keeps turning it back on every time you turn it off.
Right.
I gotta admit though, that head explosion is pretty
good.
Cool,
yeah,
for 1980s movie.
Yeah, Scanners, anyone? But yeah, that was a good one. All right, any other scenes we want to talk about before I jump into trivia?
I do have a couple of things that I had problems with. So Jim Brown's guy was really cool. How does he survive that explosion and walk through the fire when he has a gas tank strapped to his back?
But then he blows up when.
But but then it's unhooked, so it's spraying the gas.
Right.
But I'm still like, no. You're not fully engulfed in a fire suit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess we could believe that what he was wearing was fireproof, but his head's not covered. Don't even get me started on why he looked like a skunk. But I don't get how he survived that. As cool as it looked of Jim Brown walking out of the fire.
Oh yeah.
My second problem was in the scene where they CGI Ben's death, Ben and the woman's death.
Amber, yeah.
So when they do it and we're watching it as if we are watching The Running Man, that makes sense. When they then cut to us being inside of the arena, it doesn't make any sense that we are seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger fighting Jesse Ventura. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like they cut it as the movie of where we're not watching it on a screen anymore. We're actually seeing it happen, but it doesn't make sense that it would be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right. No, because it's all supposed to be superimposed.
Yes.
I think the only and if remake or not, I don't know. It would have made more sense to show Jesse Ventura's character killing some random guy or beating up some random guy that they were like, oh, and this is what that's the way they were able to superimpose Arnold's face over it instead of showing him fight Arnold. Like, yeah, you're right. It makes no sense. Yeah,
it's just that's just a film thing. Like, there's not probably a lot of people who recognize it the way I do, but the way it was shot, like, it goes from we're watching it on the screen to we're in that arena. And when I'm going, once we go in that arena, we shouldn't be seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger anymore.
That's what I didn't think they were in the arena where they're. I thought they were still watching it on the screen. I think it was just part of the arena.
The actual, like, you don't have that filter anymore.
Okay.
It actually cuts to as if you're watching it happening.
Okay.
Well, and that's when they cut to that. That's when it should have been a guy who kind of looks like Arnold or just a random guy, and then cut back to them putting the filter back on it, so you could see.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to watch that section again because I'm confused. But it's all right.
I will say I'm a big fan of the Sub-Zero, the opening thing, because that's really sets the tone of what that movie's going to be like when it's all of a sudden, oh, we're in. Which I love how they walk in. It's like, oh, it's cold. But there's no indication they are walking on ice.
No.
At all.
No.
Because I'm sorry, one of them should have slipped. But they set that up, and it's like, oh, this is a video game, and they have now entered the ice level, and now they have to face off with the Sub-Zero character, who and then I love also that this is a small little room. Apparently, they're fighting in.
Yeah, I was like, nothing makes sense of like how they get from place to place. No. Like it doesn't, like they go down the tube and then they land where all these biker gang people are. Then,
and I guess you're supposed to believe that they're the ones kind of guiding them. Like, you can't go this way, or we'll shoot you, but then they just disappear.
Yeah,
later. I also find it interesting that they never really use the fact that they have put tracking chips inside of them.
Yeah, that never comes back.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it does a little bit. That's how they're able to send Fireball to them, like right away.
Yeah.
Or Buzzsaw. I can't remember which one, but
they do it with Buzzsaw and Dynamo. But with the fact that they are sneaking around where the satellite stuff is, like how do they not go? Oh, this could be a problem. That doesn't make any sense. It also doesn't make any sense when she finds the locker room with the dead bodies in it.
Like why are they there? Like
why are they there? Why is there a locker room in the middle of this game play field? And why are the bodies still there? Because if you're gonna send another, apparently they have this show like once a week, every day.
Night? Yeah.
It's a 3-hour block of television. Which, going back to what Nicholas talked about, is another foreshadowing, because dear God, they do like 3-hour episodes of Big Brother, where it's 2 hours of the show and then 1 hour of let's talk about what happened in those 2 hours,
which is what they do in this. He has the after show.
Yeah,
at the end, which I was like, wow, who would have? I didn't recognize that before.
There's also a halftime show. I like when he mentions the halftime show.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if your Running Man contestants are just constantly being followed by cameras, which I will also say, apparently so is everybody in the world is followed by cameras. Wouldn't you worry that a camera is going to catch this crime scene that you have, that evidence that they have here? That didn't make any sense.
You would think for somewhat sanitary reasons, you would have wanted to clean up the evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just there's as fun as this movie is, when you start thinking about some of the storyline, there's a lot of plot. Like even the whole rebellion group. It's like what again, my problem with Mick Fleetwood is, what do you do? Like, other than take off their bombs at the beginning, like what do you do? Because Arnold has done everything for you. You have helped none.
Right.
Like, yeah. I don't know.
All right.
It's still better than the book.
I mean, it's still a fun movie. I mean, like we could.
I was just say
we could have our own.
It's fun.
We could do a full episode of all the things that don't make sense in this movie, but I'm still going to watch it again and enjoy it. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, a few quick trivia things. The rest will be in the show notes. Schwarzenegger wears a World's Gym sweatshirt in the scene after he escapes from the prison. That's because he owned World's Gym at the time of filming. As Larry mentioned, future pop star Paula Abdul choreographed the pre-show dance sequences. This was her second film credit, though she had already choreographed 4 Janet Jackson videos, as well as videos with ZZ Top, Duran Duran, and Debbie Gibson. Many of the dancers were fellow Laker girls that she had performed with. The music used for the pre-show entertainment was composed by Jackie Jackson and was dubbed Paula's theme in honor of Paula Abdul.
Why did they not use that song from the end credits?
Yeah,
that's what I want to know.
Yeah. In 2019, the film's screenwriter Steven DeSouza told the New York Post that one of the producers of American Gladiator sold his show with clips from The Running Man, telling the network, quote, "We're doing exactly this, except the murdering part." I love it. But yeah, I mean, American Gladiators became like a super huge hit shortly after this movie came out. So, and I was a big fan of American Gladiators.
I loved American Gladiators.
Oh, yeah.
And now, these messages.
Are you a fan of movies and TV shows inspired by comics? Ready for a podcast that dives deep into the thrilling world of adaptations? Well, look no further. Welcome to Moving Panels, the podcast where we discuss movies and TV shows based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. This is your go-to podcast for all things comics on screen. I'm your host, Laramy Wells, and every Monday we explore the dynamic universe where ink meets action. We break down the classics, reveal hidden gems, and uncover the creative process behind your favorite adaptations. Subscribe to Moving Panels now on your favorite podcast platform and join us on this epic journey through the pages of comics and onto the big screen. Remember, new episodes drop every Monday. Don't miss out. Moving Panels, where every panel has a story, every adaptation is a blockbuster. Subscribe today, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate is the world's biggest coffee lover because we love all the ways you enjoy. Wait. Coffee Mate can't love coffee more than me. I'm a foodie. I went to Kyoto just for a nitro matcha latte. What? Oh, I have to finish the ad. Coffee Mate, for the love of coffee.
This episode is brought to you by Jira. Ever wonder how those big marketing campaigns that make headlines get delivered on time? It all starts with Jira, the only project management tool you need to plan and track work across any team. Every step of that campaign is organised in one place, from launching the campaign all the way back to designing ads and writing creative briefs. Get started on your next big marketing campaign idea today in Jira.
All right, box office and critical reception. The film's release was postponed from summer of '87 to Thanksgiving due to the producer's desire for the film to be the only action thriller released during the holiday season. Also because Predator came out in June and they didn't want two Schwarzenegger movies coming out around the same time. The film opened on November 13th, 1987 with the highest gross for the weekend. It remained at number one for 2 weeks before 3 Men and a Baby took the number one spot over the Thanksgiving weekend. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 67% on the tomato meter and a 61% audience score. IMDb 6.6 out of 10 with viewers, 45 on Metacritic.
Good old Metacritic.
Yeah. So where does it land for you guys? Scale of 1 to 10. 6, is that accurate, or you would go higher or lower?
I'd go higher.
Yeah.
I think, like we've talked about, for just the pure enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd be in the honestly, I'd probably give it an 8.
I was gonna go 7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've pointed out the flaws, so I can't give it too high. But going with the scale that you tend to go with, rewatchability.
Mm-hmm.
It's a high rewatchability.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I will never read that book again, but I'll
watch the movie over and over
I will
again.
definitely watch this movie several times.
I think on IMDb I have this as like an 8. It's like it would be like a high 8 for me because I've seen it so many times. It's a comfort film for me. Like, it's something I can just put on and enjoy the mindlessness of it and just enjoy the one-liner quips and watching Richard Dawson just be so sinister or whatever. So
can I talk to you about a special feature that's on the DVD, maybe even the Blu-ray, but I only own it on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
There is a documentary on this thing. I believe the release I have, I think, came out in like 2003.
Mm-hmm.
There is a documentary, and I will just read what it says on the back cover. It's called Lockdown on Main Street, a documentary about the current state of privacy and criminal issues in a post 9/11 society.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a full-length documentary. It is a Talking Heads documentary.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched about 5 minutes of it before I went, no, thank you.
Right.
And I'm not 100% sure why it's on this movie, why it's a part of this movie, especially considering the ending of the book is about a plane flying into a tower.
Right.
I know that doesn't happen in this, but it just seems weird, and I'm not 100% sure what message they were trying to convey. I know it talks about the Patriot Act, and again, like I said, talking about our privacy.
Stuff, yeah.
and maybe the thing that I mentioned earlier about everyone's on camera and all that was what they're trying to relate, but it just seems so odd that they put that documentary on this DVD.
Especially since it really doesn't have anything to do with the movie.
No.
Yeah.
I really don't. A documentary about maybe the evolution of game shows would have made sense.
Yeah.
Or
reality shows.
TV,
Yeah. I was gonna say that, especially in 2003.
Yeah, I think that's when this actual like special edition copy that I own. I think 2004. There it is.
Okay.
I see it now.
Yeah.
2004 was when this copy that I own came out.
Yeah, that would have been towards the beginning of it, but that would have been Survivor and Big Brother and American Idol, and those shows were starting.
Or like the Real World had already been on for a while. Where MTV was turning into reality TV instead of music TV. So
reality TV was starting to take over. So I could see them doing that, but a movie about privacy concerns, which is only vaguely touched upon in this movie.
Yeah. All right. What a fun way to end the episode. Thanks, Laramy.
Hey, no problem. No problem.
Well, tell us about what's coming up on Moving Panels as we're at the end of August and about to jump into September. What do you got coming up?
Always at the end of August, we do a really, really bad movie, comic book movie, and man, we hit the bottom with this one.
It's like we picked the worst of the worst for this one.
Yeah, even though Nicholas, Tim, and I have covered Barbed Wire, which we consider the worst. Tim and my good friend Chad discussed Jonah Hex.
Yes, we did.
The probably the single worst DC movie that has ever been made. So we're hitting that, and then that ends our 4th year, and we're getting into year 5, and we got some fun things planned. I'm very excited to do Werewolf by Night for Halloween this year, so I'm excited to do that. And then of course, we'll hit some fun stuff at Christmas. And I will have both of you gentlemen on. Speaking of brackets, as Nicholas mentioned, I'll have both you gentlemen on to do our best of the 2000s movie bracket.
The largest bracket so far.
Yes, it is.
All right, what about you, Nicholas? What's going on with Pop Culture Roulette besides the Schwarzenegger bracket that I didn't get invited to?
Well, now that we're done, now that you're done listening to this episode, it's coming out around the same time as this one. So hop on over. Listen to us talk about all of Schwarzenegger, not just this one. I'm sure you'll hear some pretty hot takes over there because you never know what Jeremy or Justin's going to say.
Right.
But we are gearing up hardcore for Halloween.
Right.
We took last year off because of the game show and college and whatever, but we are going to do it again this year, 31 for 31. So if you want Halloween content every day of the month, come on over to Pop Culture Roulette Media Pod Smash and we'll hit you up.
Very cool. It's been a fun time doing the action-packed August. This is the one that we end August on, and I think it's been a fun run. Not sure what the next themed month is going to be. I've got some ideas brewing for next year, but glad to have you guys on this episode and on the Cyborg episode that came out last week. So thanks again, guys, for being a part of the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap on this episode of the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. If you enjoyed listening to us, we'd greatly appreciate it if you would take a moment and share your feedback and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button and help us spread the word to all your fellow 80s flick loving friends and family. If you have any questions or want to chat about your favorite scenes, you can reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also show your love and support for the show at buymeacoffee.com. Every little bit helps, and even $5 a month goes a long way. Be sure to visit our online store at 80sflickflashback.com and tpublic.com for some awesome 80s Flick Flashback gear and original 80s inspired designs. Thanks again for tuning in. This is Tim Williams for the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. Good night and take care.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.